I'm Patrice Davis, the host of the show, and like many other people, I started my business in 2020. I started my business when I was 48, and now that I'm 51, approaching 52, I can say it changed my life for the better. Welcome to the Age Has No Limit podcast. Let's talk about starting a business. It may be the life redesign that you're looking for. It's the Age Has No Limit podcast. We're here to show and prove that your age shouldn't prevent you from designing and living the life you want. I'm your host, Patrice Davis. Let's get started. Welcome back to the show. My name is Patrice Davis. Again, I'm the host of the Age Has No Limit podcast. In today's episode, we're going to talk about starting a business in your 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, even older. And we're going to talk about a new trend called silver entrepreneurship. We're going to start there. So I started reading articles to prepare for this episode about silver entrepreneurship, a new buzzword. And I say it's new, but actually it's been around for some time. One of the first places where I saw this was in a 2008 article where there was a talk about how silver entrepreneurship is, a new trend. I mostly saw these in UK publications. I found some other articles in Malaysia and a few others about how silver entrepreneurship is a new trend because not everyone wants to aim for retirement, or maybe they want what's called an active retirement. And silver entrepreneurship is the term that was used to describe folks that are taking that path. So I also learned that there is a program at New Mexico Community College that's called the Silver Entrepreneurship Initiative. And that's also one of the places in the US that I was able to find where they actually use the term and actually has an institute devoted to that. Then there's also the Global Institute for Experienced Entrepreneurship in Maine. Then I was able to find in the beautiful island of Aruba, another workshop that was hosted in Aruba called the Silver Entrepreneurship Workshop for Retirees and Soon to Be Retirees. The idea and the reason for bringing all of these examples to the fore was to help you understand that there is a movement and there are other retirees, soon to be retirees, and folks in their 40s, 50s, 60s and older who are actually considering this. And many of them, of course, are taking action, so much so that their actions and their efforts and their goals are being, they're being tracked, if for lack of a better word, they're being noticed. And as a result, there are institutes that are being formed around this trend. And again, even universities are trying to establish institutes and programs for people that want to start their business as they age. There's an article in Science Direct called "The Pursuit of Entrepreneurship in the Silver Age for Malaysian Silver Entrepreneurs." Finally, Forbes magazine also published an article in 2002 debunking the myth about the difficulty of launching a business in your 50s. They actually cited a study from Babson College that revealed that 1 in 4 over the age of 65 possess what they call an entrepreneurial intention, and that 1 in 5, that's 20%, of the age of people at the age of 50 feel the same. So this isn't new. It can be done. It is being done. Institutes, programs, and workshops are being developed to accommodate folks that want to do this. And so if this is something that you've been thinking about, just know that you're not alone, and there are places out there that you can seek this information and seek this support. So, in fact, what we're going to talk about now are the mindset shifts that you'll need to make when you actually start or launch a business, if this is actually a part of your life redesign. So, on my website, Ready, Set, Go Consult, and that's one of my websites. I also have another website for GrantsWorks, my consulting business that I started when I was 48 years old. I actually share all the time tidbits about being an entrepreneur, being a consultant, ways, strategies to enhance your marketing, to generate leads, just a number of articles. But I do remember writing an article called How to Start a Consulting Business for Under $500. And so I took some tips from that article to make sure that we talked about, ways that you can actually start a business. I also wrote another article about mindset shifts that one needs to make when you're shifting from an employee to an employer. And so I have a few here that I'd like to feature on this episode. Hey there, good looking people. It's your girl, Patrice. And this time I'm going back to the board and we're going to talk about ways that you can shift your thinking from that of an employee to an entrepreneur. So let's start off by looking at two things: your mental attitude or inclination. The second is an established set of attitudes. Those are two different definitions for the word mindset. So shifting your mindset to that of an entrepreneur is the first thing. So that means you're no longer thinking about your former employer's objectives, your former employer's goals. You're thinking about your company's objectives, your company's goals, your company's innovation, your company's services. The second is, of course, you want to educate yourself about your industry so that you're joining professional organizations, you're joining discussion groups and participating. You're going to conferences, but instead of going as an employee, you're going as a representative of your company. The third, of course, is to create processes and systems. The fourth is, of course, amping up your personnel accountability. And the fifth is to know and track your KPIs, your key performance indicators. To shift from an employee to an entrepreneur, some of the things that you may want to consider, of course, is that you'll need to now focus on your business's mission, vision, and objectives. So, for those of us who have always worked for others, you've never had your own business, you're used to, being inundated. Inundated probably isn't the right word, but you're used to, being reminded. Is that a nice word? About your company's mission, vision, and objectives for the new year. Now, as an entrepreneur, you're focused now on your mission, vision, and your objectives for your business. So that's one of the mindset shifts that you should be aware that you'll need to make. Another thing you'll want to do is, of course, really educate yourself about your industry. But now you're educating yourself about your industry because you want to know about those business trends. Maybe if you want to sell a product, maybe you're great at making soaps. What are the trends in making soaps? Maybe you want to launch a skincare line. What are the trends about, skincare lines? What are the packaging? What are some of the, ingredients, or maybe just some of the, consumer behavior shifts that have happened that you may need to be aware of, and so that you can enhance your business or prepare your business for that next step. And then, of course, you want to create processes and systems. Those of us in our 40s, 50s, 60s, and 70s, we're used to creating processes and systems, and documenting them and listing them and then going back and referring to them. That we're a very resourceful bunch. And so now you're going to be doing that for your business. But the cool thing is there's so many great applications out there that help you really automate some of these processes and systems. I actually teach about that in one of my programs as well. So just know that there are systems out there that'll make this easier for you. Another thing you want to do is focus on personal accountability. That goes without saying, but that's, something I do want to, that's something I shared it previously and definitely want to share here, because now, instead of being driven by, your manager's deadlines or the deadlines of, some big initiative that your company or your employer wanted you to focus on, now you're driven by your own personal accountability. Maybe you want to launch a website in 2 months. So make sure you hold yourself personally accountable for that. Maybe you want to have your first customer, your first client in the next month or so. So what are the steps you'll do to make sure that you hold yourself personally accountable to do that? And then finally, you want to know and track your KPIs, your key performance indicators. So that's something you want to know before you start your business. You don't have to. Maybe you want to focus on some of the steps that you need to take to first launch. And then once you launch, you want to learn what the key performance indicators are for the type of business you have. It's not necessary to know now, but as your business grows, it's a great way to keep an eye on whether or not you're moving in, let's say, the right direction. Maybe your business is very unique and there are no KPIs, but maybe you want to find something similar, or maybe whatever the solution is, just know that you want to understand how your business may fare in this new industry and as a new entrepreneur. So, what if you're transitioning from retirement to entrepreneurship? I don't have experience with that. And so, I did, of course, want to address that and then come prepared with some advice written by other organizations or other people who have actually done this successfully. So one particular article I found was written by Nevada, someone at Nevada Small Business Agency, and they had a few that I thought would be important to share with you. I have another list from another great resource, but let's start with what the Nevada Small Business recommends. They say that you should start a business when you're in retirement that matches your passion. Yeah, I can certainly see that. You want to align your business with financial feasibility. In other words, is your business financially feasible? Again, goes without saying. And then they said, get friendly with technology. And that's something as I said just a few minutes ago, there's are some of us who are resistant to certain types of technology. I can certainly understand that. But when it comes to your business, I highly recommend that you get to know the technologies that exist that can make your life easier, make your systems more efficient, make communicating easier. So that I highly, highly recommend that. They also said that you should get help. That means if you need a mentor or you need to work with someone who can get you to that next level, absolutely do that. I'm a new business owner. I've only been in business for 4 years. I love it. I enjoy it. But I've also reached out to coaches. I've had two coaches. One was an executive coach that I was able to tap into their expertise as a result of a program that I was registered in. So this was free executive coaching from someone who was one of the top executive coaches in the U.S. And so just know that I've actually done that. I also belong to a business mastermind of entrepreneurs who have really big goals for their businesses. So being around those people helps to keep me motivated. And so for those of you who know me and are wondering, where I get so much drive, it's because I'm in these rooms, in these environments that around other people that are doing amazing things, and they are inspiring me to do some of these things. And of course, they're inspiring me, but of course, what I do, the actual actions I take, are fully self driven and are aligned with my longer term goals. So the idea is I'm getting the influence, but that influence is to drive me to meet my personal goals. I'm not being influenced to shoot for the moon and do a range of things just because I'm in the room or in some of these groups. So I found this great article on do.com about how the benefits of remote entrepreneurship after retirement. And so for those of you who don't know, do.com is an organization devoted to helping people prepare for retirement and have a productive, fruitful, enjoyable retirement. And this article really resonated with me. It's actually the 12 benefits of remote entrepreneurship after retirement. I won't list all 12. I just found 7 that really resonated with me, and I wanted to, of course, feature them during this episode. So the first one is that you have plenty of experience in your niche. So why not leverage that experience? The second is that you have a broader professional network. And again, that goes without saying, you've been in your niche for 20, 30, 40 years. And so leverage that really broad professional network of people that you've worked with over the years. You also have an impressive resume. Again, why not leverage that impressive resume? Another item that was on the list of 12 benefits of remote entrepreneurship after retirement is that you have the freedom to travel and meet your remote team. So at some point in your business, as it grows, you may decide to hire someone, and maybe that person is in Malaysia, or maybe they're in Austin, Texas, and you're in, Chicago, and or maybe they're in Barbados or wherever it is, the idea is that you can actually go to travel to meet them because you have the flexibility to do that. Again, this is a remote entrepreneurship endeavor. Then, of course, you can turn your favorite hobby into a business. That goes without saying that, maybe you're a great piano player and you decide to launch a business teaching people how to play a piano virtually. This happens. This has happened. This happened quite a bit during the P word, the pandemic. So just wanted to make sure that you're aware that this can be done virtually. You can, of course, feel better and more productive. So I always talk about how great launching a business has been, how productive I'm able to be because I'm doing it from the comfort of my home office or from an office that I use in the downtown area of the city where I live. And then, of course, you get to travel to see the world. If you've watched any of the other episodes or heard any of the episodes, you've heard me talk about how important traveling the world to me. It's always been very important to me, and because I have a business that allows me to work remotely, and I am, I guess, considered a remote entrepreneur, I'm able to travel. I've been to 6 different countries, with more on the list by the end of this year, and certainly some others, some new ones planned for 2024. And then, of course, you get to travel to visit family and friends. So, for those of you who are watching me on video, you can see this background looks different from the last background. That's because I'm actually staying with a family member on the beautiful island of Jamaica. So, it's actually a key part of the Age Has No Limit podcast. My Age Has No Limit approach is to travel. And so I want to make sure I integrate producing and this podcast and creating this podcast as I travel and not wait until I'm back in one of my offices to do it. So the backgrounds are going to change. So maybe we'll go into a where in the world is Patrice theme for the podcast, similar to the Where in the World is Carmen San Diego show that some of you may be familiar with. So I've shared several examples that this is possible. Now let's talk about how to do it. And that's what probably many of you want to know. Yeah, that's all great, Patrice. It's been done. There are things out there to support me. Tell me what I need to do. So we're going to jump into that right now. Hey there, No Limit Tribe. This is Patrice, and I wanted to insert a more complete list into this video if you're watching this on YouTube, or into the podcast if you're listening on Apple, Google, Spotify, or iHeartRadio. So, the first item on the Start a Business list is to register your business with your Secretary of State if you're in the United States, or the similar entity if you're in a different country. The second thing you need to do is get a tax ID or tax ID number, or it's also called an employer identification number, TIN or EIN, if you're in the US. And you would get that, of course, from the IRS. And that's easy. You can get that in about 5 to 10 minutes by going to irs.gov. You can get a similar ID in your country. I don't know the method that you need to take to get that number, but just want to make sure that we understand that is number 2 on the list. Number 3 is to open a business checking account. And before you open that business checking account, there's going to be a list of you need to know what those documents are that you need to bring to the branch to actually open up the account. So, and sometimes they want your articles of incorporation. They definitely want to see that you're registered with your Secretary of State. So make sure you're clear on what that list is, and then open up your business checking account. Number 4 is that you need to establish an account with either one or more of these payment platforms. And they are PayPal, Stripe, Google Pay, and even Apple Pay. These all would be payment platforms for your business, and you wouldn't accept payments for personal things in these payment platforms. You would only focus on getting paid for your business services or the products that you sell through these platforms. And then if you decide that you want to get a website, that would be number 5 on the list. And I'm going to give you a few other items to consider when you are getting your website. Number 1, you want to get a domain name. And so this will be almost 5A. Get a domain name from either GoDaddy or Namecheap. You can get them for $9 to maybe $19, maybe $29, a one-time fee, and you will need to renew it each year. And then you want to get a an account with a web hosting company such as, again, GoDaddy, HostGator, Purple Host. There are many of them out there. So decide which one is going to be the best one for you. The third thing, or let's call it 5C, is to design your own logo for free in Canva. You can open up a free Canva account. They already have a number of logo templates. You can customize it, change some of the colors, add some designs, but you can design your own logo for free with canva.com, canva.com. And then let's call this 5D. You want to establish an account with a web design application such as Squarespace, Wix, Weebly, WordPress. So that's if you decide that you want to, well, whether you're going to design your own website for free, or if you decide to hire a web developer, a freelance web developer on Fiverr.com, Fiverr.com, or on upwork.com, upwork.com. So you do have those options. If you have the patience and the skills to design your own website, you can do it for free, a very simple website, or you can hire a web developer to design a very simple website, a beginner website. And as your business grows, you can enhance your website over time, add, different plugins and different things to make sure that your business website is as functional as possible. And then now let's go back to the original list, which is number 6. You want to get a free email account from Google. You can easily get a free email account. It could be yourbusiness@gmail.com, or you can pay Google for a custom email account, and it could be info@yourbusiness.com or contact@yourbusiness.com. Then number 7 is you can get a FreshBooks or QuickBooks subscription. You can get a basic service. The last I saw, QuickBooks had a free service. And the reason they offer it for free is because if you send an invoice using your QuickBooks account to maybe a customer or client, QuickBooks will process that payment, deposit it into your business checking account, but they will take a small, I don't know, small percentage, let's say 1.5. I don't recall what the percentage is, but definitely check that. So you can make your decision on whether you want to go with FreshBooks or QuickBooks. And you can also run some basic reports. Number 8, you can get a project management software for free as well. Now, I did note in the video, the original video, that you can, get an Asana account for free, but there are others. There's Monday.com, there's Notion, there's Smartsheet, there's ClickUp. There are a number of them. So just find out which one works best for you. I would really focus a lot on the interface. I've worked with several of them, and I decided to stay with Asana because I love the simplicity of the interface and the way that I can easily share documents and communicate with project collaborators. And number 9, you can get a Zoom or Google Meet account for your online meetings. You can get both for free. For Zoom, for your free account only gives you, as of today, only about 30 minutes of meeting time. So you'd have to keep your minutes your meetings capped at 30 minutes. So just want to make sure you're aware of that. Or you can move up to a paid account for about $12 per month. And then number 10, and this is, if you may not find this necessary, especially if you're going to be a digital nomad, is a printer. And so just want to make sure you're aware that, that you can get an inexpensive inkjet printer for about $105 or $110. Again, this may not be necessary, but for the work that we do, we need to have printers because we're working with clients' multi-million dollar budgets. And so we need to make sure we can print some of those budgets and review all of the details so we don't miss anything. So just wanted to quickly correct the list that I have in the original video, and make sure it was as complete and comprehensive as possible. But I'd love to hear from you. If there's anything I'm missing from the list, drop them in the comments if you're watching this on YouTube, or drop them in the comments if you're listening on Apple, Google, Spotify, or iHeartRadio. I also want to briefly let you know that we have something called the Ultimate Consultants and Freelancer Starter Kit that we've been selling on our website, readysetgoconsult.com, for over a year. And it has everything that we have here, except it has a ton of other resources. And those resources have hyperlinks so that you can easily make decisions on which applications you want to use for your consulting or freelancer business. All right. So thanks for hearing me out with this corrected list. Now, what about those hidden costs? Here are some hidden costs that I would like for you to know about as as a new business owner. Some of those hidden costs include those merchant transaction fees from either the accounting software you use, such as QuickBooks or FreshBooks, and of course those payment platforms such as Stripe and PayPal. So here's an example. You sell something from your skincare line for $79 and you sell it through Stripe or PayPal, you don't receive the full $79. Of course, you may receive $77.15 because they're taking their transaction fee off the top, so to speak. So that's just a hidden cost I want you to be aware of. You may also want to look into business liability insurance. This may not be applicable to you, or certainly not now, but in my business, I have a consulting business, as I mentioned before. I actually have business liability insurance, and I pay a little less than $30 a month for that insurance. And it's something that I think it's important that we should all look into at the appropriate time. And then the final thing, well, there are two other hidden fees or at least costs to be aware of. And the other is making sure you select the monthly payment option for the applications, some of the applications that I suggested, because they make it so that the default is an annual payment amount, right? And so they're saying you can save $5 a month if you just pay for the year, just pay them $249 for the year. I highly recommend that you not do that as a new business owner. Please just pay the extra $2 per month and pay on a month by month basis until you know for certain that, hey, this business, I'm going to keep this business, and this is an application I'll continue to use for the next year or 2 years. Let me save some dollars by doing the annual plan. But just know that the default is going to be the annual, and then they put the month by month in very, very tiny print, so you miss it. And then another thing you may want to consider, of course, is a virtual office. So to avoid using your home address, a lot of business owners do this. So just know that those options do exist for you. You'll notice that there are no costs for business cards, and those of us from a certain generation are used to, handing over a paper business card. That's so 1990s. Let's use that, right? People are using business cards so much. You may have a stack or a batch if maybe you're hosting a table at a conference or something. But for the most part, people are using application based business cards. As a matter of fact, I use one called Hi Hello. I use the free version of the Hi Hello business card. It gives you an opportunity to put an image, a number of links on your website, the address, just a number of things on your, let's call it, profile, and then easily share your profile with someone who wants your business contact information via a QR code or via email. So there are a number of things you can do with these kinds of applications. So no need to spend money for business cards when you first start your business. And you also notice that there are no costs for brochures. Again, those of us from a certain generation are thinking, let's get paper brochures and print it out. That, number one, that's a waste of paper. Number two, there's no need to do that. One of the things that I currently do in my business, of course, I have the websites and I have a lot of information, a lot of content out there to share about my businesses and the services that we offer. But for my consulting business, sometimes I'm contacted by prospects that want to know about the business, and they may not be ready for a proposal. I know they're not ready for a proposal. So I've actually created a really snazzy slide deck in Canva. Remember, I shared that Canva is going to be your best friend. That provides 24 pages of really cool information embedded with videos and quite a few things about our business, videos of our services, just a lot of information so that it's easy for them to learn more about the business. And of course, easy for them to follow up with us when they're ready to come back and have a conversation that may lead to an actual new client for our business. So just want to remind you that you don't need brochures. Just, create a shareable slide deck that you share by link that has all the great information about your company, the products and the services. So there you have it. That is a pretty long list of some things to consider if you're going to launch your business and launch your website, and just some ways to think about how you can save money. So I just wanted to make sure that I gave you all the information so that you're as prepared as possible and you're thinking in a step-by-step fashion about how to start your business. So I'm going to end this episode. I am learning that I really like some of these quotes about aging that really resonate with me and probably with you out in the audience. So I found this really great quote from Frank Lloyd Wright. And of course, for those of you who know who are into architecture, or those of you who are not, Frank Lloyd Wright was an architect. I won't go into his design style. I don't know that much about architecture, but I love this quote. It says, "The longer I live, the more beautiful life becomes." Isn't that a great way to end this episode? Especially as we're thinking about entrepreneurship, taking a step into the unknown and how that can bring you an amazing amount of freedom, financial freedom, the freedom of movement. Just know that that can add to the beauty in your life as you age and as I age. So, some final points I wanted to make. You've heard me mention my business accelerator, Ready, Set, Go, Consult. It is a great program, and I've noticed that most of the people in the program are in their 40s and 50s. These are people with years of experience who decided to launch consulting businesses. The accelerator actually takes them to the next level of their consulting business. It helps them think through a lot of things that they probably hadn't considered, and it helps them understand really the value of this business. They see their business as an asset. Think through, again, their mission, their vision. Think through lead generation. Just quite a few things that they hadn't considered as they were running their nascent consulting businesses. And as a matter of fact, there was a former mayor in one of my accelerated programs, and he's agreed to be a guest on our podcast. I'm looking forward to hosting him. So just want to make sure you all were aware that there are resources out there. I've shared many of them on this episode. I also have a resource that you may find very valuable. So just want to make sure that you know that becoming an entrepreneur can absolutely be part of your life redesign, and is another example, as I've said before, that age has no limit. Thanks for joining me on this episode. And until the next time, thinking about entrepreneurship, taking a step into the unknown and how that can bring you an amazing amount of freedom, financial freedom, the freedom of movement. Just know that that can add to the beauty in your life as you age and as I age. So, some final points I wanted to make. You've heard me mention my business accelerator, Ready, Set, Go, Consult. It is a great program, and I've noticed that most of the people in the program are in their 40s and 50s. These are people with years of experience who decided to launch consulting businesses. The accelerator actually takes them to the next level of their consulting business. It helps them think through a lot of things that they probably hadn't considered, and it helps them understand really the value of this business. They see their business as an asset. Think through, again, their mission, their vision. Think through lead generation. Just quite a few things that they hadn't considered as they were running their nascent consulting businesses. And as a matter of fact, there was a former mayor in one of my accelerated programs, and he's agreed to be a guest on our podcast. I'm looking forward to hosting him. So just want to make sure you all were aware that there are resources out there. I've shared many of them on this episode. I also have a resource that you may find very valuable. So just want to make sure that you know that becoming an entrepreneur can absolutely be part of your life redesign, and is another example, as I've said before, that age has no limit. Thanks for joining me on this episode. And until the next time,